excellent progress today.
Your dad, he's a fun guy, right?
And I love him so much, and I think he's the greatest dad in the world.
Welcome back to the Working on the Dad Pod. I'm Alex, he's Ethan, and tonight we're talking about traveling with your kids. We're talking mostly about vacation with your kids because, let's be real, we've talked about the ups and downs and considerations of when you travel with kids. But what I wanted to get into, because I know Ethan's recently been on vacation with his kids, I've recently been on vacation with my kids. I've got a vacation coming up next month without my kids. So I kind of wanted to think through what are the things that we not only plan for, but as we're picking out the vacation destinations, as we're thinking about our itineraries, and as we're thinking about what we want to get as dads out of the vacation, what are our expectations? Are they realistic? And whatnot. Before that, we'll do story time. After that, we'll work on the dad bod, maybe talk about what we're reading, maybe divulge into a whole new second episode. You never know what's going to happen around here. For those of you who've been with us the past couple of weeks, we've had some chaotic outros, we've had some chaotic intros. And if you don't know what we're talking about, check out our website, workingonthedadpod.com. Check out our YouTube channel, subscribe there, wherever you get your podcasts. If this is your first episode, welcome. If this is your 100th episode, welcome back.
Ethan, crap, have we done 100 episodes?
I feel like we've done. I have to count. I could be wrong.
Oh man,
we need to do something if we haven't. That would be a milestone. I'm gonna check.
Yeah, I'm finding myself going into blur mode. So you know what? Let me fix that quickly.
Sure.
I don't know why. All right, there we go.
Start us off with
is that better?
Okay. Little story time. You know, so for us here in Florida, we have to school on Monday. Feels like the summer flew by. Tomorrow is the last day of camp for my kids, and it's kind of been, I've talked about camp chaos and how ridiculous it is. It continued to get ridiculous here in my household because my kids were coming back from their vacation up in Massachusetts with their grandparents, and my daughter's dance camp that she was supposed to go to last week said, hey, not enough people signed up. We're canceling. Oh, okay, that's great. And what I had planned to do through the saga we had talked about here on the podcast, where my daughter was going to come home, and I was like, I'm going to send you to the YMCA camp if you have to come home early from Massachusetts.
Sure.
Well, YMCA did not have as many open slots, so I put her on the wait list there. Then I realized that her brother's camp, which is at a place called Kids Strong, which is basically like Ninja Warrior for kids. It's like they have spots. Let's send her to the same camp her brother's going to. That's fine enough. That'll work. So we signed her up there, and then the Y said, hey, you're off the wait list. She was like, well, I really want to go to the Y. And I'm like, well, it's $200 cheaper. So we did some finagling. We got her removed from the Y this week into Kids Strong because all the while the Y sent a message last week saying, oh, by the way, our last week of camp that we said was going to be Monday through Friday is actually going to be Monday through Wednesday for XYZ reasons. Sorry. So I called up the camp director and said, I'd like my money back, please, because there was no mention of a refund. Don't get me wrong. It's the YMCA. It's, I think, $25 a day. Like, I'm not trying to harass them out of their money, but I was like, I would like to remove her from the camp, please, because I have somewhere that can take her all 5 days. So we've been shuffling all those cards in. Here we are at the finish line tomorrow before the first day of school. So it's been chaotic. Wife's been picking up an Office Depot order with all of the school supplies that they're going to need. We got to pick them up from camp tomorrow to go meet the teacher, because why would meet the teacher be at a reasonable time? No, it's going to be at 11:30 for those kids in pre-K. And then it's going to be at 12:30 for kindergarten through second grade, because you can't have them at normal times, and you definitely can't have them at the same time when you got two kids.
That would be absurd.
So we got to pick them up, and we got to take them back to camp, because they got to end a camp show that they're really happy about. The counselor said we could do it. So my days kind of be chaotic and kind of shot, but you know, here we are.
Wow. So I was on vacation last week with my family, which I'll say the logistics of that for our episode, but you know, it was great. We made it to the beach every day, which, you know, you would think is the plan of a beach trip, and it definitely is my plan.
Sure.
But
Sure.
when your in-laws own the home that you're staying on, that's a beach house, sometimes it's like, well, if we don't make it today, we don't make it today. It's like, well, that's okay for you, but I'm only here 1 week. So
Right. You're here for the beach versus the summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
How far is the in-laws house from the beach?
So it is like about an 8-minute walk because pre-Hurricane Sandy, it was like right up on it. But then now it's like a whole thing where the community, it's, you know, just a bunch of little walks, and then there's the promenade, and then there's the dunes. And pre-Hurricane Sandy, the dunes was like, then you got to the beach. But now with erosion and everything, like the beach is like a little further out. So there's a whole little way. I'd say it's like a couple
erosion. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. So it's probably, I would say, because I'm the one that pulls, I load the cart and I pull the cart. That's kind of like my contribution as the youth male. And I'm going to say youth because compared to the people in their 70s, I'm the youth, right?
Sure.
So as the
$2.
youth male, yeah, exactly. As the youth male, I pull and I load, and that's usually about like 10 minutes. So I'd say maybe legitimately half a mile or so when you just think about it. Yeah, no, so it's great. But I can understand where if it's a rainy day and you're literally there all summer, you're like, man, I don't feel like loading up the cart. Like, but I was like, there is a 3-hour window here, and we're going to capitalize on 2 hours of that, right? Like factoring everything in. And because the community is large enough where there's like a I'm thinking of like an Excel sheet. It's a little more than an A through Z. We get into like the street names. Maybe we go to like AF, probably like 32-ish streets. There's a few different like beaches in terms of just like the people in this like wing, they tend to go down the main beach walk. But like ultimately it's like the whole beach, but it's just kind of like you gravitate to the closest way in. So we did between two. There's a really close one, which is super convenient, and then for some reason there's like people they know at the other one, and they would never come to ours. So so we have to go to that one. But it's just like, as the cart puller, it's like, why do we need to go to the one that
thanks for volunteering me and my effort. I get that.
So but the story I wanted to say, rather than talk about my vacation in the story time, is I mentioned on a previous episode very recently the World Cup sticker book stickers, and how my daughter's become obsessed with them. So I don't know if I mentioned last time, but there's the stickers that come in the packs, and then there's the cross promotion with Coca-Cola, where certain Coke bottles that have the Panini logo on it, if you take off the wrapper, there's 12 stickers that are specific to Coke bottles. And so you got to buy a Coke bottle, and you got to hope it's one that you haven't gotten already. So my wife yesterday found a Coke bottle with the one she needed, one of the ones my daughter needed. And we know that because my wife started just like peeling the stickers and then resealing them if it's not the one she wants, so she doesn't have to buy that Coke, which I was like, oh man, you can really get in trouble, but I like where your head's at. And she drank the Coke at gymnastics yesterday, but forgot and threw out the Coke bottle. And when she came home, she's like, oh my God, I threw out the Coke bottle with the sticker. And my daughter starts panicking. My wife has like, it's about to cry. And I was like, let me finish my plate, and I will drive to gymnastics, and I will be a raccoon, and I will sift through the garbage, and I will get this. And that's what I did. Luckily, it was like right on top. So I grabbed it. Came into gymnastics, grabbed it, went back. And then my daughter couldn't be happier. I was the hero. Then this morning, I get into my building at work, and I was like, that little snack shop that I never go into, I wonder if they have these Coke bottles. So I turn in, and they do. So before I start doing my wife's peel thing in a government building, crouched down with my backpack on, looking extremely awkward in front of security, called my wife quickly, and I was like, hey, which are the last, how many more does she need? And it's like 3. And she goes, okay. And I said, all right, so they have them here. Please let me know the names that I'm looking for. So she texts me the photo of the empty spots. So I start doing the peel thing, which looks really awkward. And like a building police officer comes in, and I'm saying police instead of security because this guy's got a gun, right? And I'm like crouched down. It looks really freaking sketchy, right? And I see that one of the 3 names is there, and I'm like, great. And there's like 4 other bottles. So I peel them. None of them are there. And I hear somebody go, hey. And I turn around and I think, okay, this is it. I'm either going to be forced to pay for all the bottles or I'm going to be questioned because this looks really creepy. And it's just another guy who goes, I've got a whole stack of those in my office. Do you want them? And he and I started talking, and I said, my daughter's obsessed with these. I'm looking for these specific ones. He's like, I accidentally found one on my when I drank a Coke. I was then curious about them, and I kept buying Cokes. My kid doesn't want these. Do you want them all? And I said, let me text you the 2 names that my daughter's still missing, and I will. And then if you have them, I'll come grab them. So I texted him. He not only has both of them, he's got at least doubles of them, and he's like, you can also have the whole stack. So I go to his office, and as we end up crossing paths again right in front of the scene of what looked like a crime. And he hands me a folder with like 40 of these Coke stickers. And now my daughter has a complete set. And now she's got all this excellent trading fodder, because even though like she's hundreds of sticker packs missing, it's much harder for a 6-year-old to get their parents to buy them a 20-liter Coke bottle, not 20, a 20-ounce Coke bottle.
20,
Sorry,
I was like,
yeah,
yeah. Everybody on his side.
yeah.
They were hard to find.
Right, a 20-ounce Coke bottle, like at least 12 different times. So now she's got extra trading fodder to hopefully. I came home like a hero.
You just described, like, if Modern Family was still on the air, this is like Phil Dunphy. This is Phil Dunphy level shit. Okay, man, because quite like the crouching down to the convenience store, the
Ridiculous.
making a new best friend, like
oh my god,
the going and like checking out his stash. It's like this combination of like throwing some punchlines about crack addiction, and then like throw in the like 90s commercial of like, I learned it from you, Dad. Like, you could do so much with this. That was fantastic.
Thank you. My daughter's super jazzed and feeling good. That was a little bit of a victory there. And which I kind of needed this week. I'll say, coming back from vacation, this week was not easy. There a lot of crap happened at work while I was gone. Not that it wasn't handled, but just dealing with the aftermath of it all.
Yeah.
And, I did the thing where instead of just adding a day of vacation when I came back, since Sunday was a much longer day than I anticipated, I looked at my meeting schedule on Monday. I had none. So I just called out sick on Monday, so 2 separate buckets of leave. So I did the thing where it was like, I'm taking Monday off for myself, but I should have planned that one a little bit better. I should have put in advance a like long, there's a doctor's appointment that day that I should have, I didn't like doing that day up. I would have preferred a sick day on the books, but regardless, didn't really matter. And then just my work this week, made it so that I didn't have the best workout week, and I had some tummy issues on Tuesday, so my workout was kind of it was that C effort. Like I'm glad I went anyway, but it wasn't as good of an effort as I wanted. And then yesterday, while I was on the treadmill, this is like that one. I guess yesterday was the day every couple of months where my knee just felt a little weird. So
yeah,
switched to power walking, and I've got the Voltaren on the knee just to be safe. But the like just not my favorite week.
yeah.
And yeah, so
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, it's tough coming back from vacation. You know, especially longer ones. Vacation I alluded to previously was, you know, it was just an overnight. We went up to Disney World to see several
Friends.
of our college roommates.
Yeah.
Ethan had his own vacation to go to, so he respectfully declined paying a lot more money for lodging and airfare and entertainment at the happiest place on earth. And I'm sure your kids had a great time, but it was really nice. But yeah, it was a much shorter one, so I didn't have, you know, I was just out on Monday. We left on Sunday. We went left early. Like Disney World is expensive. I'm not gonna like BS any of you, but we stayed at All Star Sports, place we stayed. Shout out to my dad. My dad's gonna know this when he listens to the episode, because it's where we stayed on our big Christmas trip, and it's the motel of the Disney resorts. Let's be honest.
Okay,
but it's Disney, so like that's still nice enough. Like it's more than gonna get the job done, and the room was like $210. Fine. Not the best deal, not the worst deal, but totally fine. I've definitely paid more for like a Marriott somewhere on a road trip.
Yeah.
But you also get free access to the water park of your choice on the day of your check-in. So either Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon, two Disney water parks, to which they have shuttles if you want to take them. But for a Florida resident, that meant we left the house at 8. We were at the water park when it opened, baby, on the day of our check-in. And we were there. And I look up at the board as we're walking in. $70 per adult, $60 per kid. I'm like, we made money just by coming to this water park. That's less than the room, right? And I'm just like, wow, that's insane. So you know, it was pretty good. And then of course you get some other amenities thrown in there of like, if you're staying at a Disney property, you get to enter the park early compared to everybody else. So we were some of the first in line for things like Space Mountain and whatever. But the real crux of the chat or the conversation tonight that, you know, I wanted to have was the difference between that and like how you plan those types of vacations, right? We were going up there and we were planning for ourselves, but my wife, being a Disney enthusiast and Florida local, was also planning a lot of things on behalf of our friends, right? One of the families also lives here in Florida. They're SeaWorld folks. They don't swing by Disney as much. And the other coming from Jersey. And so definitely not Disney folks. And we're having to bake in all of these considerations. The kids range from 1 to 7. And so capabilities, interests, factors, right?
Sure.
You know, our buddy Eric, who's been a guest on the pod, was on this trip. And so if you've listened to that episode about parenting with special needs, you'll understand that, you know, his kids have special needs. And so a lot of things to consider, and it really changes the entire vibe of the trip. Sure. And it changes the entire vibe of even a similar trip, because I know the first comment is like, Alex, you're not okay, but you're not going to go to a theme park when it's just you and your wife. Well, that's exactly what we did almost a year ago. We went to Universal for our anniversary, right? And that was it was still a totally different vibe. Did I ride roller coasters in both experiences? Yes, because my daughter's a fiend. She's my daughter. Like I rode Space Mountain with my son. He if this is the height bar, this is the top of his head. Like,
Nice.
man made it, and he saw mom and sis going on, and he was like, "I want to do that." I was like, "Okay, let's go." And he didn't cry, he didn't scream, he didn't complain, but he got off. He goes, "Nope, don't like that. Too fast, too many turns. Don't want to do that again." So
Fair.
maybe not for the 4-year-old, but
But he tried. That's great.
at the same time, it's like my wife and I got to have nicer sit-down dinners. I didn't have to have dinner with Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh, which I did on this trip, right? And it
How
was
are
great.
they doing?
But doing honestly great since the last time I saw them. These are repeat restaurants for us. Like I
Okay.
got to show pictures of both my kids as much younger children at some of these restaurants going, "Do you remember this?" And they're like, "No." Fine. But it changed the vibe because what did my wife and I do one of the nights we were at Universal? We went to the on property sports bar, got a big NBC sports bar to watch the Florida game last year.
Yeah,
Right?
different kind
And
of.
had wings and beer and stayed up till 11:30 and then went right back after it again. And we didn't have to worry about pajamas. We didn't have to worry about strollers. We didn't have to worry about gift shops, or at least not worrying about debating about, "Oh, I want that," for every single thing you pass. Like, bro, oh, you want that Buzz Lightyear bubble wand? You're in luck. It's in the bottom of our stroller because we bought it 2 damn years ago. Use
Damn
it.
right.
Don't ask for another one. It's working. So it's really about that difference in both where you go, because it's not like my wife and I just go to the same places that we would go with our kids all the time, but like what you get out of the trip. Because what I got out of my Disney trip, what I got out of my Disney trip now, what I got out of my Disney trip at Christmas, what I get out of going camping with my family is the joy on my kids' face of new or repeat experiences and how much fun they have, right? I put my own interests aside where it's like, what would you like to do? And I'm like, I let the kids pick first. And then I kind of pick from that list and I say, I'd like to do that thing that he or she wants to do. That would be fun. I would enjoy that. Would I have ridden Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin where you shoot lasers at things 3 times? First time, the moment I got into Magic Kingdom? No. But my son wanted to do it and I had a great time. Absolutely kicking his butt. Kicked my daughter's butt too, because she didn't know that the little gun shooter thing came out of the holster and she was just sitting there like trying to shoot it sideways the whole time she's riding by herself.
It's funny.
Got
to pay attention,
program.
There you go. Yeah, it's all curved. But, yeah. No. So that's fun. When you go to a beach vacation that is, hosted by your in-laws, it's not that there's like a lot of variety, but going to the beach, it's a private beach. Usually had a drink in my hand. Kids had brought our own snacks. If they wanted to play in the ocean, I played with them. Got to play in the ocean by myself. My wife and my daughters went on shell walks. We were both able to do some reading. It was very much like everybody kind of got to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that, not only is there a extra effort on me as cart puller man when we go to the further beach, but the 2 days of the 6 that we went to the beach, 2 of them we went to the far one. And on both the days we went to the far one, my almost 4-year-old says, middle of the beach day, I have to poop. So guess who's the one that gets to take her the far way back to the beach house so that she can poop and then bring her back? This guy, both times. Luckily, and also in a scary way, my father-in-law is a big-time cycle enthusiast, and I now have a not yet 4-year-old who's 75% there on riding a bike. She needs help starting, doesn't have the confidence for hills yet, but she was able to ride her bike to and from the beach. And
2-wheel, 4-wheel?
2-wheel, like straight up full on
Nice.
bicycle.
Nice.
It's funny. There's a franchise. There's a bunch of different franchises of this camp called Pedal Heads. Do they have them where you guys are? Well, essentially,
I've heard of them.
Yeah, essentially, it's a half-day summer camp, usually a week, where you send your kids and they come back riding bikes, and it is wildly expensive. And I was telling him that I know a lot of kids who go there, and it's like, send them to my father-in-law for 2 hours, and he'll cut you a deal. Because honestly, both my daughters, one morning with him, they're bike riding. I don't know what he says. I don't know how they do it, but they get it. So anyway, whilst I am, jogging as she is riding her bike the long distance so that she can poop, I'm constantly in fear that the movement of the bicycle would make her poop both days. I don't know what made me feel that. I guess it was because of when they're babies and you have to help them fart, you're essentially, I was wondering in my mind if this was going to be a terrible, terrible thing that happened. But we're at the point where on my sick day on Monday, I attempted letting her ride the bike to school with her older sister. And we're not quite there yet because the starting and stopping caused a lot of angst on both parties, her and me. And frankly, all that starting and stopping and making sure she didn't die made me so unbelievably sweaty that if I had to do that in work clothes to get on the metro, just not there yet. So leaving her on the scooter, not going to backtrack going to the balance bike on trips to school. But she's close. I'd give her 75% there. So that was another highlight of the trip. But going back to what we were talking about with, it's not really about you, it's about the kids. I will say, other than one trip where you and I actually crossed paths when I went to Rhode Island for a wedding and you guys were in Boston, and that was before the other people staying in our Airbnb got there to meet up with us, and you guys came. We've pretty much only traveled with our kids to family locations, whether that be my father-in-law in New York, my parents in Los Angeles. We have not done a family of 4 vacation to a theme park, to something else.
Well, and I think, and we've discussed this, a million. I mean, obviously we know it, but we've discussed it here on the pod a million times, right? The difference is I got 3 grandparents that live locally, and my dad visits 3 to 4 times a year. And for everyone except my father-in-law, these are their only grandkids, right?
Right.
And so it's a little different where, they don't feel the need to, ask us to come out there, go anywhere in particular or whatever. And so it does free up sort of our vacation where it's like for Thanksgiving, yes. Do I see my mom and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law every year? Yes, at my mother-in-law's house 20 minutes away. Do they all come over here for Christmas morning? Yes. Whatever the Easter, the major holidays that we get together. Absolutely. So I think there's definitely some difference there, but I think one thing that you sort of latched onto that brought up that I latched onto was this idea of the hybrid, right? Because I kind of brought this conversation up like destinations, right? Because I haven't mentioned our trip next month, but my wife and I are going to Seoul, South Korea. And that's going to be like an anniversary trip for us, like when we went to Scotland, and like when we went to Universal Studios. Those are all 3 in the same bucket, obviously.
Yeah, 3 similar things.
Yeah. But this trip that my wife and kids were on, they're up at my in-laws' beach house. And, part of the reason I ask how far is the beach, because my kids are down at the beach every single day, but it's 100 feet to the beach.
No, yeah.
They're one house off of it. It's down the hill, and there's like one turn that a car could possibly take. There's very little traffic. Does it mean the kids go down to the beach by themselves? No. It's Cape Cod, Massachusetts. there are actually great whites in the water.
Right.
Like they're not going to be that close to shore. It's not a real consideration. And usually the water's still too cold for them to be like, I want to go full on in. They're Florida kids. But because of the proximity, the difference between that and the beach is 10 minutes away from my house as I sit, you know, that 8-minute conversation, it's like my kids may go to the beach while they're there, especially for 3.5 weeks. They may go to the beach there as much as they go to the beach here, and they live 10 minutes away. My mom lives 5 minutes away, and my in-laws live 20-25 minutes away from beach access. It's like, and yet it almost becomes, when you live so close to it, not this novelty that you're searching for, because it's always there.
Yeah, I would say,
but it does create that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when we were in college, we did not go to the beach as much as we probably should have. Like, yeah, and you know, we had stuff to do, and we had a pool at our house, and like, it just wasn't, you know,
the biggest thing for us, I remember in college, is like getting to a halfway decent beach was kind of a hike. Just the way it's Miami, right? It's a different vibe than a beach town, right? It's
right,
huge coastal city. You know, like, but where our campus was super close to the beach, and we were dumb college students, and so it was like, somebody's got to drive, or we've got to pay an arm and a leg for a cab.
Right, exactly.
And that's where I think it's like, we were at a campus where there was a pool. We had a house where there was a pool. Like, we didn't, and like, girls would suntan on the intramural fields. Like, we didn't need to get to the beach.
We didn't have to go to the
some
beach.
of the things that college kids needed to get to. Like, we could all drink by our own pool, and nobody had to worry about driving.
And we could invite people over and call it a beach themed pool day, and that usually was enough. Yeah.
They definitely
someone could bring a bag of sand, you know. So, so, you know, it's one of those things where, even in living in Los Angeles or going back to LA for Thanksgiving, you know, I check the weather and we plan a beach day, but because it is a 45-minute drive with, you know, normal LA traffic, you know, it's not a spur of the moment thing. Like, we have to decide, this is going to be our beach day, and this is the time we're leaving, and all that stuff. So,
yeah,
you know, I took for granted in 2/3 of my life, you know, as a almost 38-year-old who's now lived in DC for almost 13 years, I took for granted how much easy access to the ocean I had. So when I go to this beach house for a week, I'm going to the beach. It might be drizzly. It might be really windy. There might be sand blowing in my face. Well, I'm going to be there.
I mean, and let's be honest, like, the other alternative is just sitting around with your in-laws. Like,
so true.
You're nice. True. I like my in-laws well enough, but I'm also like, hey, you know, like, let's go where the wind's whipping and I got a book, and it feels weird to carry on conversation just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Talk more about the Red Sox or whatever, you know, like, so I get that, but I think for me, like, the big difference is just sort of like in itinerary, right? So we've got two trip. Well, my wife is always planning trips.
Yeah.
And we've got multiple. The next 3 trips that I know of on my radar, I'm leaving the country. I need my passport. We're going to Seoul in September. We're going to the Bahamas in December, and we're going to Italy in March.
Wow.
Kind of a whirlwind.
Yeah.
But the kids are coming on those second 2. And
what's in Italy? You told me about Bahamas already. What's in Italy? Just a vacation?
Just a vacation. So what happened? I jokingly mentioned it earlier about my daughter being in Gifted, but one of the things she did, not even this past year, but when she was in kindergarten in the Gifted program, is they did like a research project. That's a lot of what they do in Gifted is research project. She did a research project about Pompeii.
I thought she chose the Disney cruise.
She did, but it's my wife. Like, she didn't hold firm. She just said, we'll do the Disney cruise first. And what we are doing is we are going to Pompeii, Rome, several other things during their spring break. Just sort of as like what do we want to do? But this one to me was like, unlike Disney World or the theme park example, this one to me is like the difference like for like. I'm not going to sit here and Italians, please don't accuse me of this, that all of Italy is the same, because I'm going to some new parts of Italy that I haven't been to before. But I can tell you that when my wife and I were in our honeymoon in Rome, I didn't do a dress up like a Roman gladiator experience that we've got planned. Right.
I think it is fair to say that the last time you were in Italy on your honeymoon, the vibe.
That wasn't the last time I was in Italy, but
right. The vibe of
when my wife and I were traveling, we went for a little bit. But
right. Yeah. Okay, fine. So but the last the vibe is different than when you go with your kids. The vibe is very different, but it's also just what you're planning. Like we did a nice like pasta making class, and we like fried like squash blossoms and like made like interesting flavors of ravioli and like made gelato. And now, hey kids, you want to do a pizza? You want to do a cooking class? Yeah, we're gonna make pizza because they're kids, and that's fine. I know how to make pizza. I make pizza a fair amount at my house. I've considered investing in a pizza oven. I like it. It's good stuff. It's one of my favorite foods. I don't know that I need to go to a class for it, but I'm going to go with the kids. I'm looking up at museums, and instead of like looking at the statue of David or the Sistine Chapel or classic Italian art, it's like, okay, well, this Museum of Science here has got a lot of like hands-on exhibits for the kids. And I'm like, okay, so they're going to learn the same stuff that they learn at the South Florida Museums of Science, except the signs are going to be in Italian. This is going to go great. But, looking at like classic Italian puppet shows and things, and the agenda changes. Dining at places that we think are kid-friendly, that are going to have things that we have, versus my wife and I spending afternoons just outside of some Italian cafes, sipping on wine, chatting, people watching, staring at architecture, enjoying each other's company. It becomes a lot more utility. As someone who also honeymooned in Italy, I get it. I get it.
Michelin star dining. Like my wife and I, we were trying to, this is an aside, we were trying to book, one of the things we like to do is we like to try, if we can, to throw in a Michelin star restaurant if we're going to a place that has one. We did it in Scotland. We were trying to do it in Seoul. And the way South Korea is, they've got like one app for everything. Like not a standalone catch-all app, but like if you want restaurant reservations, there's one app. Like not just like Open Table and competitors, there's like an Open Table, but it's not called that.
Right.
And we go, and it was Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Korean time, where reservations would open for September. This was August 1st, and they opened. We both log on to the app, 7:59 seconds, refresh the page right as it goes, try to book, and the bots have cleared it out. It was absolutely wild to me. We were trying to like book this Michelin star restaurant that happened to be at one of the hotels we were staying at. And, that's maybe the bougiest sentence that's ever come out of my mouth, but like, absolutely wild. But the fact that we tried to do that, we did that on our honeymoon in Italy. We did that on a Scotland trip, like fine dining. Like my kids get appalled if I get even a little creative in the kitchen. Right? And I'm like, what would they think of what I can't imagine the way a Michelin star chef would feel if my kids dressed them down with their thoughts on his or her menu.
That's so funny because my kids are the same way, and I actually a story for another day, was in an argument with my almost 4-year-old over a pancake today. But what I will say is my older one, she's really, this last week has been really into would you rathers. And one of them was, about senses, like which one you get, like, would you rather not be able to see or not be able to smell? And then she asked me a question, and I don't know if I ever told you this, but as much as I love food, and eating is truly my favorite thing in the world, And, I believe that cuisine is the best way to learn about cultures.
Mhm.
To be honest, if you told me I'm taking away one of your five senses, I would say take away taste. Because frankly, I would just be eating like healthy gruel. I wouldn't overeat. I wouldn't enjoy it. It would just be like, what is the exact amount of nutrition I need to have a perfect life? And that's what I would eat. And I would just go on with my day.
It would be very useful to not
Yeah.
taste things. Like my wife baked a little sourdough focaccia last night, and I'm not proud of how much of it I ate because it tasted good. I get the utility. Like, it's not the worst thing, but also like there's some great smells out there. There's also some terrible smells. I don't know.
True.
I'd have to think more about it. I'd have to think more about it.
Yeah. That was a quick aside, but I was wondering as we go through this podcast now in our 4th season, working on the Dad Pod and Bod, if I couldn't taste, I'd be in a perfect place.
Oh my goodness. I would feel like I would literally just hone in. Like, I would literally be prompting AI, like, taste be damned, culinary technique be damned, tell me the most efficient, satiating way to get X amount of calories with X macros. Like,
right, exactly.
Let's
be efficient. How do I buy it? And how do I buy it in bulk? And that would just be it.
Yeah. Like, let's make this cheap and healthy and easy to make. Like,
pretty much. Yeah. Like in that 3rd Hunger Games book, Mockingjay, when they're in District 13 and the robot AI whatever gives them a bowl of gruel that is the exact amount that they need for the perfect nutrient day kind of thing, and it all just tastes like it's like that's like where I'd be.
I mean, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think that that kind of like sums up my thoughts. That I think you have to go in to these vacations, right? You have to plan differently. Obviously, we've covered that. But I think you have to go in with different expectations because, like, I plan to go to Korea and relax. I plan to go to the Bahamas and relax because it's going to be beachfront. It's kind of going to be one of those hybrids. My in-laws are going to be there. Like, I'm planning on not having to be one of 2 sets of eyes, but one of 4 sets of eyes on my kids and whatever.
Is it the same hotel you told me about that's got the built-in or like the inclusive?
No, it's a different island. I don't know. It's somewhere that my in-laws went last year and were like, "You guys have to come." So we're going.
Sure, why not?
I mean, they also offered to pay for the entire thing, so we're going.
Sure. Yeah. So why not? Why not?
Like, I'm here for it.
Please don't take me to the Bahamas. In December.
Like, it wouldn't be the first time. Again, shout out to my dad. Like, first time I went to I've been to the Bahamas. I think this will be my 3rd time, I think. But, very close by to Florida, for those of you that aren't up on your geography. But first time I went was right before I moved into college. My dad won a trip, all expenses
right.
to the Bahamas, to Nassau, for being good at his job. And
there you go. Kill it.
Went to the Bahamas, and the drinking age is 18 in the Bahamas. And so, first time got to share a beer with my dad.
Nice.
I still remember, like, I had like 2 or 3 at like one of the dinners. He was like, "This isn't your first drink, is it?" And I was like,
legally, sure.
So college. Like, it's great.
There you go.
There's a lot of things I've been able to tell my dad years later about how, like, after move-in day, the next day when he took me to pick out a bicycle that my grandfather was buying me as a graduation present, I was like, I was hungover as could be.
Absolutely.
all that kind of stuff. But yeah. Should we? I feel like we're kind of rambling on here. But you got anything more to say about vacations, or do we want to work on?
No, my closing thought is more of just kind of an echo of yours. It's trips are vacations, but they're not always vacations for you. There are vacations for someone. That is usually the kid. Yeah. And oh, thank you. And it's nice when I think the hybrid's kind of perfect because, everybody gets something that they want. You're spending time with your family. You get some time to yourself. I mean, every night at the beach after bedtime, we left the monitor with my in-laws, and my wife and I did a nighttime walk. When her stepsister was there, the three of us would walk to the one bar in the community kind of thing on the beach. So like we had time to be us. Yeah. So the hybrid's where I'm at if I can make it happen. So I mentioned I didn't have a great working on the dad bod week, but our accidental episode that aired last week on video games in a way helped me work on me. So I've been doing Duolingo for over a year, and I don't pay for Duolingo because I can be quite cheap. One of the advertisements in Duolingo is a game called Township. And Township, the demo advertisement, is fun as F. So I downloaded the game. And the game is nothing like the advertisement.
Classic bait.
Which is frustrating because I, looked on Reddit, did some Googling research. They do that a lot, apparently, with video games on phone apps. It's like, if you're
phone app games are notorious.
If you're going to design the fun version for the advertisement, just continue designing the fun version for the game. I don't understand. So I say that because I just listened 2 days ago to last week's, and I was doing Duolingo, saw the Township advertisement, and I said, you know what? I opened up Claude and I said, hey, Claude, if you're familiar with the game Township and its advertisement being entirely different than the game, can you please create me a version of the game that is like Township? And over the last 72 hours, Claude and I have been going back and forth, and I am in my 8th version with changes of a game called Field Runner that is it doesn't look like Township, but I'm getting it there where I'm building out a world. I am selling to customers. I have basically recreated Township because the game Township is nothing like the advertisement of Township. And so I am killing trees. I am running up people's electricity bills, blowing through these data centers. But you know what? I'm feeling okay, about it, because I've got in my phone in my hand right now a demo of a game that I am working on. And you know what? Add game designer to my resume, bitches. I'm feeling good.
Hey, listen. I mean, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I had I almost got there with the Korean reservation thing. I almost got there because I pay for Claude, and I was like, I feel like I could build an app that would be in that line. Because what happens is we notice there are companies that are basically selling a monthly membership to them, where for $50 a month, and you have to be a member for a minimum of 3 months, they can guarantee you a reservation at some of these restaurants in Korea. Just okay, so you're building the bots.
Sure. Yeah.
You're building the bots and then you're reselling it. And you can't do Craigslist for this stuff. You can't be like, hey, you want to go to a 2 Michelin star restaurant? I promise it's legit.
Right.
So, whatever. But, I will say on my end of working on things, first of all, because life got in the way before this Disney trip, I had been, I'd missed about 2 workouts. And so I'd run. I did the Disney trip, and I decided my next workout back would be a run. And it's the best run I've had in probably a couple months. Excellent. So I was really proud of that. And I was like, this is weird. We got home at 10 o'clock. I got up and got out, had to do things to get kids ready for camp the next day. got up and got after it, and I was crushing it. And I was like talking to Claude, because I've been logging my runs in Claude to like get some level of advice on like pacing, you know, when to push myself, telling it to like use research principles. And I had a bit of an epiphany. It was like, okay, what have I been doing wrong? I've been alternating my lifting days and my running days. Fine. But my lifting days have been total body, including, you know, I'll do
legs,
some lunges or like deadlifts or leg extensions. Like I'm not doing like squats or full deadlifts. I'm doing like single leg deadlifts. I'm doing a lot of things that in my mind are good like that I know are good exercises for running to build balance, coordination, work on imbalances within the musculature, all that stuff. But after realizing this and having this epiphany, it's like, okay, well, if I'm always doing that the day before a run, my legs are probably a little fatigued. So I changed up my system, not too drastically. I'm still lifting every other day and running every other day, but I just moved the leg set, right? Because it'd be like I might do lunges and bench press and pull-ups and, you know, lateral raises and biceps and abs. And like I'm just moving the lunges off of there right after my run. Today was the, you know, after having that epiphany over several more backtracking runs, today was the first day where like I was like, okay, this is working.
Nice.
So, you know, that was good. I had another good run, and I'm like, okay, this is nice to know that like I just need to figure out my own system for, you know, for getting those in the right spot. And on my Claude stuff, Claude projects I've mentioned here, because you're working with Claude, reminded me, and I think it's a little dad centric. You'll remember my recipe rating archive that I've done, and it is starting to pay dividends. I had done several things. This week, I was able to bring back, after several months of logging food and recipes, and granted, my family was gone for 3.5 weeks, so it's not as impressive as it sounds, but
sure.
Like I was able to bring back some favorites, and they still hit, and I was able to add some new things. And I just finished the 5th of 5 recipes this week, and I had no complaints. I had a complaint-free week by bringing back 2 recipes, introducing 2 new things, and I had one that averaged 3.3 out of 5 stars, but I took notes in Claude saying, this is what people didn't like about it. And instead of, it's like a chicken shawarma recipe, you throw it in a pita with some yogurt sauce and tomatoes, and we're skipping the lettuce right now because we don't want diarrhea parasite.
Sure, no one wants that.
And oven roasting it. And I was like, okay, wife said it lacked flavor, so let's marinate it longer. So I made it the night before. Daughter thought it was too chewy. So I was like, well, now I've got this Blackstone out here. Can get hot as can be. I'm just going to chop it up real fine and like get it real crispy. Went from a 3.3 to 4.8.
Wow. That's quite the
jump. So it's not only, and that's the first recipe I've done that with, where I'm like, I want to regrade this, where I'm like, I'll bring back the hits. If I feel like I've done everything I can on a recipe, I'm going to let the recipe sit as it is and say, let's not bring this back. But I'm like, I'm starting to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good about this, right? Like I went through an entire week with a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old where not a single one of them complained about a bad dinner. Okay. I don't even have words for that. I made chicken shawarma. I made a beef bulgogi bowl. I made coconut curry beef and rice. I made spaghetti and meatballs with like turkey meatballs, using a very particular recipe. And then I'm even blanking on like my and I made chicken teriyaki. I will say, as you may have noticed from what I just said there, like I've had a lot more like Asian themed hits. And like Claude is kind of like over indexing. Like I had to pull some off of there to be like, hey man, like, can we have less soy sauce on the menu? Like I
Sure.
can commit to 3 soy sauce based recipes here, but like let's pull a little bit off because, and my wife even noticed it. She was like, yeah, it's like kind of a lot of the same. And I'm like, I do have to re-index it, but I'm like, at the same time, you know, like I have hit on, I've got
That's great.
several recipes, and the spaghetti and meatballs. My daughter didn't love the meatballs. She's like 2 out of 5 on the meatballs, 5 out of 5 on the spaghetti. Fine, great. What's the note? Leave the meatballs off for the daughter. Everybody else is
There you
happy.
go.
5 out of 5 for everyone.
There
My
you
daughter
go.
was the only reason my daughter was mad that I logged it as 5 out of 5 for everyone is because she really wants my chicken tikka masala to stay number 1, and now it's tied.
Ooh.
I gotta.
Wow.
If I haven't sent you that recipe, I need to send you that recipe because that one is a hit from everybody.
Please.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I like good uses of AI, and I think that
Building the game you always wished you could play on the toilet.
Yeah, and in your case, I know you joked saying you gave that recipe company their next big idea, and you mentioned a second ago, but you sound like you got a nap on your hands. Yeah. And I think you might have. Okay, you're talking again, but it's one of those things where I'm having. It's fun. I don't pay for Claude, so when I mentioned that over the last 72 hours, it's because I only get a certain few changes before it says you can't do anything for another 6 hours. So but it's fun. Yeah. You have lost sound. Yeah. Yeah. Don't know what happened to Alex's microphone, folks, but his face is still pretty, and nope, can't hear you yet. Yeah. Try that.
How about?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Again? Okay. Oh, okay. Hear you. All right. You're good. You're good. He's back.
All right. What a weird technical. Like I went to scratch my ear. I accidentally clicked my AirPods. Daryl Lyko started narrating in my ear as it connected back to my phone, and then back again, and then back and forth.
That happens.
I'm not listening to you. I'm listening to Golden Sun. I don't know what's going on. And then but I was hearing you for all of that. And honestly, the recipe archive, that the running log, there's I got a couple of things that are like constantly going. That's really what I'm like paying for Claude for, so I can make sure that and the grocery ordering, like it's streamlined some things that I'm like that I think it's like $5 a month that I'm paying for it. I'm like, this week,
that's a win.
Right here, 5 out of 5 on dinners, no complaints.
Money well spent.
Every penny I will ever pay. And to the company Provecho, where like I might have given them the $1 million idea, like they got to get on it first, because I am very close with my paid subscription. I do have access to Claude Cowork and Claude Code, and like there's a part of me that like immediately when I thought of it, of course my brain is like, ooh, how could you turn your hobby into a stream of income, right?
Exactly,
because
that's what we
do. It's 2026. That's what you have to do. Yeah. But like now, the fear in my mind was like, okay, well, what if this doesn't work? Like, what if you just log everything and the kids keep complaining? Where it's like, no, it works when you like log notes and it takes that into account, where it's like, okay, I had a recipe from last week called egg roll in a bowl. You can find it on Provecho. Shout out to those guys. They're giving me half off my subscription for my interview, so I'll give them a free plug every now and then.
There you go.
But they had a recipe that was egg roll in a bowl. It was pretty simple: meat, veggies, sauce. Honestly, it was only like 250 calories a serving, kind of light, and it wasn't the highest rated. like the chicken shawarma, I'm probably going to bring it back, because the next day my wife was like, yeah, it's fine. It just needs like more carbs to it, and probably not rice. Like rice doesn't feel right here. Well, I grabbed a tortilla and I gave her just a giant egg roll burrito.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, if you had served me this last night, it's 5 out of 5. So I make the note in Claude, and then Claude knows it. And so next time Claude might say, hey, why don't we try that? Your wife said, if you made this burrito, it might score a lot higher. So why don't we bring this back and see what we can do? It's nice to not have to store all that in my head or write every thought of that down and sort through all those thoughts and process all those things. Sometimes I get that people can overuse AI for lack of critical thinking, but I view it very much as an assistant in my life that can dictate my notes and help spit it back to me in an effective and efficient way.
Dude, it sounds like an app to me. Enter how many people in your family. Tell me what's in the recipe. How did
give every person a name? Name can be wife, son, daughter, as is case in mind, or you can give them free form it.
Yeah,
you have to enter everybody's grade. You can say they didn't eat, they weren't here tonight, or whatever. And like, I think the move you take that. I think you could do a lot of things. I could brainstorm, but this is going to be on the public record that I don't want to get too many ideas. I've said
sure. Already. You've said too much already. But let's focus on. I need investors for Field Runner. And we're going to take down Township. Listen, so people, let's get in.
When you've launched that project and ready for your next great venture as an app developer.
Yes.
I've got an idea.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you to this episode of Shark Tank. Thank you for listening to Working on the Dad Pod with us. As Alex mentioned up top, please make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Please follow us on all socials. Please find us on workingonthedadpod.com. We very much appreciate you listening. And I am out of town next week, so we'll probably take a week off. I'm actually going on a guy's trip with my high school friends, since my college friends just did a trip without me. And anyway, no harm, no foul. Love you guys. Bye.
Still not on mute. You were invited. I did make a group chat without you, though.
Yeah, assholes.
You did not want to be in a group chat with my wife about Disney.
I did not. She won't listen to this.